Hey, welcome back to Keepin It Peel. I'm Jeff Santiago with the Orange Peel. Today we're sitting down with Molly Rose Reed of the lovely Americana group Underhill Rose. Let's go hang with Molly in the green room.
Tell me who brought the sun today. Tell me who brought the sun today. Whoa, who?
Hello.
It's so nice to have you here, Molly Rose Reed of Underhill Rose. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me here on Keepin It Peel.
Yes, welcome to Keepin It Peel.
Yeah.
We're missing Eleanor Underhill today.
Yeah.
But still so happy to be able to sit down with you, and we'll get to talk to her next time around. But thank you for sitting down with us. So, how did you navigate as an artist through a pandemic?
Oh yeah, the whole pandemic thing. I can't say I did it well. I mean, my family and I are COVID fine, but that hasn't meant that we haven't been through, the ringer in the past year, just with some illness and shifting and, the big word of 2020 being pivot. And how did you pivot? And for me, it was like, well, I pivoted to being a full-time parent and taking care of my kid because there were no other options. So for me, that was probably the biggest shift, is that I had music at home, but I didn't have it anywhere else really. And I didn't really, because I was full-time parenting and the sole provider for caretaking our kid while my husband was working, thankfully, I was really focused in Kidland. And that's pretty awesome because I have my kid's 2.5 now. So I really got to dig in and, get to know him as he blossomed as a person. But musically, I did a lot of writing. I wrote a lot of poetry. And just now, it's starting to have a lot of music coming with it. And my bandmate Eleanor, she and I couldn't be together in the same room because of COVID, and we are so used to sitting together in a room, sharing stories, sharing songs, arranging and working together in that capacity. We've had a lot of Zoom meetings, but it's just not the same in terms of the creative process for us, for Underhill Rose. So it was a real challenge, but I am so thankful and grateful that in some ways I got a pause from music, so I feel that much more just thankful to be able to have the privilege of playing music, and it has really given me like the zhuzh to be ready to do some more shows again.
That's fantastic. I know it's like with the challenges comes these silver linings. So
yeah,
it seems like you found those things for yourself and found ways to make the best of that situation, which was obviously difficult for everyone.
Absolutely. I would say for me personally, I kind of hit a really low point last November because it had been, how many months since everything shut down in March. And, it was looking a little bleak for music still, for live music. And I was just really kind of wondering how that shift was going to happen while continuing care for my kid. And that's when, therapy started really helping me like refocus and create a pivot for myself. So.
I want to talk about one of your songs, and
sure.
I love it so much. It's Whispering Pines Motel.
Oh yeah.
And there's a Whispering Pines Motel here in Asheville, so I'm wondering about the inspiration for that. It's a beautiful song, somewhat haunting, and I live in that neighborhood, so I'm kind of wondering.
Oh, right on.
Is there a direct connection with that and correlation?
So, sort of. Eleanor wrote Whispering Pines Motel, and she was driving at that time. She was doing a lot of driving between here and Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta for a little while we did some studio work. And on one of her drives back, she was driving back to her home in West Asheville, and she's constantly passing the Whispering Pines Motel in this cool vintage sign. And the name was really alluring as well, Whispering Pines Motel. So I think more than anything, it was the sign that kind of drew her in. And it has, it could be a little creepy to some. I don't think anymore, but at the time when she wrote the song,
Right.
it had, some kind of creepy vibes. So this song is in a minor key for one, so it's got that minor key vibe. And it's also a song of longing and like wanting to like pull someone into your life that you really have a thing for, but in this very alluring way. So she brought that song to me, and we collaborated on the arrangement for it and how to like get some real like growing momentum for this song. And then once we recorded that on our last studio album, and actually Mike Ashworth, who was the drummer with Steep Canyon Rangers,
Yes.
came into the studio with us and was like, oh, I hear this on that and that. And I think that his drumming really helped set the tone for that song and elevate it to the place where I think Eleanor really envisioned it. So
That's great.
Such a cool song.
Yeah.
And if you ever hear Eleanor play that song solo, which I get the privilege of hearing her do that sometimes just with rehearsal, it's really like you can hear the nuance, and it's kind of like shape shifted over the years, where it's just like this really sultry song now. It's a great song. I agree.
With the smell of honeysuckle vines, driving past the Whispering Pines Motel. Someday I'm gonna make you mine. I got nothing else on my mind, and I've got plenty of time to cast the spell. 'Cause in dreams I see you leaning in to tell me something I know so well at the Whispering Pines Motel.
What I love is you start talking about the songwriting process, and that's what I wanted to kind of get into as well. It's how you both approach songwriting together. So what it seems like so far is you kind of might come up with some song ideas and then bring them together for arrangement. And,
Yes.
but I'd love to hear it from you.
Exactly. Yeah. So Eleanor and I are the songwriters of Underhill Rose at this point. And she and I both write poetry, and some of that poetry can take musical form. So for me personally, I'll write a poem and then the music typically comes a bit later. However, sometimes I've dreamed of a melody line and I want to incorporate some of that poetry I've already written. So it's kind of a very organic way of songwriting. And there's, for me, especially during COVID, I haven't had that diligence where I sit down to write and have that creative practice that I think is so helpful for so many. Eleanor has a bit more of a creative process and practice, where she is very diligent and sits down and does write. But for her, she has said to me many times, the muse has to hit. Otherwise, it might not be something that she wants to bring to the band. But once she and I have some poetry and some music and in a rough song format, we'll bring it to each other, play it for each other, and then, we give input. We arrange the song a little differently sometimes. Other times we will come up with different words or inflections. We are working on a new song right now called Human Being Good. And it's a song that I've been writing really for a couple of years now. But it's about how the challenge of just being a human in the world, is difficult enough, but also to be a human that's being good and what it means to be good in the world. So there's the first few lines of the song are about a girl, and I was initially inspired about my niece, she's now 15, but she's a very self-assured girl, and I'm so proud.
It's got to be rewarding to have a songwriting partner that you can kind of help each other bridge the gaps and pieces of your art, and whether it's lyrically or musically, and put them all together where it's cohesive, and then it becomes Underhill Rose, right? At that point.
Exactly. You add harmonies, you add our instrumentation of banjo and acoustic guitar. We're imagining, the other arrangements that may go along with it, like, the bass line, the drum inflection that we might like to go along with it, maybe some lead instrumentation as well. or layers of harmonies in the background that you wouldn't really hear unless you maybe saw it live or, really listened intently. So yeah, I'm so lucky to have a musical partner in that way because we've been friends for so long. We met at Warren Wilson in 2001.
What's in store for you guys this coming year?
Yeah. So for 2021, Underhill Rose, we are truly excited to play a handful of shows this year. We didn't book a huge tour because there were just so many unknowns, and booking shows went from being like, I'm going to book this show 6 months out or 9 months out to I'm going to book this show 4 weeks out or, something like that. So we just decided for the sake of planning with the band as well, because we're wanting to have our upright bassist, Gary Oliver, and our drummer, Mike Rhodes, join us for everything we do. It just feels good. It is that full band sound. And I think that audiences will really love to hear, that full sound. And the excitement and the joy that we're feeling will emanate to the audience as well. But this year, so we're playing here in Asheville at the Orange Peel. That's our one Asheville show of 2021. So this is the chance to see us in Asheville. And then we're playing an arts center up in West Virginia in September. And we're playing Bristol Rhythm and Roots reunion in September. We're playing September 10th. And we're stoked. We're stoked to go to Bristol.
Underhill Rose will be here at the Orange Peel Saturday, July 17th, which is coming up really quick.
Yep, it's this Saturday.
Yeah, so, and it'll be a full band lineup again?
Yes, so our full band will be there, yeah.
Excellent. And how about any new material coming up for this one?
Absolutely. We've been working on a few songs. So that song, Human Being Good, new song by Eleanor, she's written it over this time of COVID, and it's called Meet Me. It's one of my new favorite songs. So I'm really excited to debut that at the Orange Peel here on July 17th. And there are a couple more as well. So a couple more new songs, and then we're pulling out kind of our old favorites from the past. What's really cool to us is that we're celebrating 10 years since we launched our very first album. It was amazing. A self-titled album. We released it, to the world, but we didn't do any promotion really for it. So it's our self-titled album that we spent all of our money on back between 2009 and 2011. And it's still got some crowd favorites. So one of the songs is Learn. Another is 2,000 Miles. No More, let's see, anyway, there's a lot of songs there that people still love. So we'll pull out a couple of those as well, just for fun, to honor and celebrate that 10 years of Underhill Rose.
Well, you should honor that. It makes total sense to kind of go back to the things that brought you together, and it's important to reflect on that when you're looking at this longevity that you have. And just hearing you talk about Eleanor songs, it's how you guys appreciate what each of you bring to the table. It's such a beautiful thing to see from where I'm sitting, because you have these two artists who not only get along so well, but have this respect for each other and appreciation for what you each bring to the table. So I love hearing you talk about your own songs, but I also love hearing you talk about Eleanor's songs.
Yeah.
And again, when you bring them together, then they become Underhill Rose, and it's a great place to land. So.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, I'm lucky to be Eleanor Underhill's bandmate. That's just kind of what it boils down to. So.
Well, you're a couple of very talented songwriters, musicians, artists. So we're very much looking forward to having Underhill Rose here on Saturday, July 17th. I hope everyone can join us for a wonderful show.
Please do. We are so excited. We are genuinely so thrilled to be at the Orange Peel July 17th.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me here, Jeff. I really appreciate it.
Okay. We'll see you
soon.
Saturday.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Tell me